October 28th, Friday. The night wears on without further incident, despite the great number of thoughts swimming inside my head. Come morning, there's only a hush, a strange sort of stillness unlike that once greeting me every morning. This one's uneasy, tight with anticipation, like a string stretched thin, merely waiting for the proper time to snap. Granted, it doesn't make my day any less pleasant, but the edge is there. And as expected, the second I step out of my flat, it comes apart, broken by the voices of two squabbling adults echoing from a floor below. Quiet was nice while it lasted. Shame. Do you fuckheads really have to do this first thing in the morning, huh?
What the hell were you thinking?
Oh wait, that sounds like Ash.
I wasn't.
And Isabella. Oh gosh, what are they doing?
Ow! Could you let go?
You're hurting her, Ash. Not a few seconds later, they both ascend the stairs, with Ashton pulling Isabella by her wrist. Wait, it's the 28th, right? It's the 28th. What exactly happened to Isabella on that day? This was all happening at the Wright Mansion. Nothing really. Then what about on the 27th? That's about Zachary. This is Luke and Kylie. What the date, quote unquote date I went on yesterday? It's not a date. I'm not fucking gonna call it a date. No way in hell did I go on a date with Luke Wright, okay? I don't know what happened, but apparently Ash is mad at Isabella. She struggles, as she should, but his hold on her remains firm. Freeing herself means having to draw blood, as she attempts to pry his hand off of her with the other one, or using unnecessary force to push herself away, neither of which is better than the other. One could potentially end in an accident, while the other means having to hurt him physically. She has the good sense to realize that at least. However, it doesn't take the desperate edge in her voice. When she answers, Ashton's temper with her own. So, on they go, none the wiser to my presence. Really? Hello, I'm here too? Hi, good morning?
Do you have any idea how much trouble you could get in?
That's why I'm asking you for help.
Is this what you've been doing these past 3 days? Because this doesn't make your case convincing, Isabella.
Rose died, Ash.
I know. Every single person in Luxburg knows. It's on the damn news. But that doesn't mean...
People are missing. Some of those are my friends. And BRC's just covering it all up.
You can't just barge into my office and expect me to do anything about it, right off the bat. This isn't a children's game, Isabella. We have procedures. We have to follow protocol. There's red tape all over this case for a reason. We sure as hell don't investigate things just because some stupid letter spooked us.
Yeah.
Ash, you have to believe me this time. If we don't do anything right now, more people will...
I understand, right? The police force isn't just like, oh, what? This letter? Like anybody could make that letter, right? Even if in our case it's a real letter that actually is causing all of this. When the police sees that, they're not gonna be like, oh, look at this, Bobby. Look at this, Captain Bobby. Time to start an investigation. Like, of course they're not fucking gonna do that, but... Yeah, it just sucks because we know it's real in our case, right?
It's been a whole week. This stupid letter prank is getting old real fast. I'm sick of it. It was funny the first time, not so much now.
You're the only one that can help me with this, Ash. Even Rebecca won't.
I won't what? That's not true. I'll help you.
All right. You two are awfully loud. What's going on here?
Yeah, I heard my name, huh? Shit talking. Both of their heads snap up almost in unison. A displaced frown is on each of their faces, but this is a necessary interruption. What can they do? People still in their units have already taken interest in the commotion, with some taking a peek behind their curtains, while others are bold enough to creak open their doors, if only slightly. They're like, oh, I want some noise with this, I want to hear the voices. If they don't keep it down, pretty soon our landlady will show up. I mean, this is fucking live reality television, okay? Getting a reprimand from her is the last thing I want to happen, first thing on a Friday morning, even if this is hardly my fault.
Well, if you want to continue this, you two better do it elsewhere. You're disturbing other people.
Don't worry, we're done here.
No, we aren't. Becca, I looked it up. I called them. I visited some of them and...
Which you shouldn't have done in the first place.
Who did she call? Who did she visit?
Isabella, you're going to create more problems for us with what you're doing. A team has already been assigned to it. Leave it to us.
Your precious team is looking at it the wrong way. Rebecca, it's not just Rose. There are others.
That last bit strikes a chord, prods strongly at a memory, and that vicious smile already etched deeply inside my mind. The image appears clear enough that, at the mere mention of it, I stumble on my own question.
What do you mean?
The letter, Rebecca! It's not...
It's nothing. If there's really something going on because of that dumb letter, none of us would be standing here. We've all read it, haven't we? But Rebecca's alive, Zach's alive, I'm alive. So for the last time, this isn't a curse.
Are you sure about that, Ash? Zach's alive, huh? Is Zach really alive?
There's a murderer on the loose, and your co-workers happen to be the victims. Give it a rest, Isabella. It's too early for this shit.
Don't you think that's too much for a coincidence?
Not so much. Most serial killers follow a pattern. I'll tell you about it some other time. And anyway, coincidence or not, the point is, civilians like you aren't supposed to get involved. You're putting yourself in danger.
I wasn't chasing after...
Will the both of you slow down and stop arguing for a minute? What's this about your coworkers, Belle?
Becca, please don't tell me now you believe this shit.
Well, sure, in a heartbeat, I'll agree with Ashton. That's how it always has been. Besides having a very good point. Really, they're the very same ones he'll make every time I ask too many questions. The fact of the matter is, what he wants to hear from me right now is far from what I've been seeing, sensing these past few days. It doesn't matter what Isabella or I believe on our own. Something odd has been happening around me, and the letter she picked up is at the heart of this. But, however I respond to the question in their faces, only one of them will be pleased with it. Oh shit. Bella, you shouldn't be doing these things. I might have seen her. Like, we've seen her, right? This is something that we're either gonna lie about it or not. And lying means, oh, we'll pick Ashton's side because he's our precious, obsessed lover boy, right? But, like, fuck that shit. I want to get to the mystery of this, okay? Besides, Rebecca doesn't have a chance with Ash. So, yeah, we definitely saw her, okay? Damn. Relationship down with Ashton, back to normal with Isabella. Ashton, in particular, won't be too happy to hear it. Imagining the look his face doesn't take too much effort. His entire posture shifts the moment my reluctance shows, shoulders tensing, brows furrowing, eyes gaining a sharp edge. He's already bracing himself for the disappointment. And it will be a disappointment. Not in a million years that I ever believe I'll be saying this either.
I might have seen her. The woman Belle's been telling us about. The one she said she saw in the attic.
Both of them stare at me like I've grown an extra head, and for a few moments, Ashton looks as if he's about to have a fit. A pause treads at his heels after, a silence thick enough one can almost hear a pin drop.
You're kidding, right?
Do I look like
Nope.
I'm joking?
I wish I were kidding. Boy, do I wish I was joking, man.
Really, Becca? Not funny.
Ash, I'm not lying. Why would I lie about this? It's been this way since the film fest. The past few days have been really odd since we read that letter.
Or maybe you're all just feeling under the weather.
I'm not sick. Don't you think I'd know that by now?
Becca, you're starting to sound like Scaredy Cat. Give me a break.
Maybe because there's something to what we're saying.
Why don't you?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, you two.
What? Wait, what? Isabella's voice cut sharply through a conversation, abruptly putting an end to the brewing argument.
It's all my fault.
No.
This is all my fault.
Isabella, stop!
I was only hoping I could fix this before any of you. I'm sorry for dragging you all into this.
She breathes in, deep, steadying, and in that moment, something falls behind her eyes as she looks away.
I'll fix this. I promise.
Oh god, no, she's gonna do something reckless. A quiet resolve. The same one I saw in her that night from 3 days ago. But this time, it burns brighter. Even Ashton wavers at its sight. When she looks him straight in the eyes, gaze unflinching. Gradually, his grip on her wrist loosens.
Belle, there's nothing to fix. The problem is...
Just this once, Ash.
Her voice, though small and lacking any force, stops him. Along with it, Every sound, every noise dies around us. A hush descending as if the world is waiting for her words.
You don't have to come with me. But if I don't do anything, I am going to regret it.
She lays a hand on top of his. Gentle, whoa, Isabella. Pleading. Almost intimate, if one does not consider the circumstances we found ourselves in.
Please.
Ashton will never tell a soul. Will never admit it to even himself. But it is in that short second that his own resolve breaks. The moment the hard edge in his eyes softens, and he relinquishes his hold on her, letting his hand fall limply to his side. Wordlessly, Isabella steps back and runs off, leaving only a muttered thanks and a small, lackluster smile. What is she gonna do? Only after the last of her footsteps fade away does Ashton move, breaking the silence with one of his sharp exhales before reaching up to pinch the bridge of his nose in a gesture of frustration and surrender.
Did you really have to tell her that?
What do you want to hear from me then? That everything's fine?
No, I want all of you to stop putting these ideas in her head. None of it is helping. Never mind. Don't worry about her. I'll bring her back here.
He's already poised to leave when my own instinct takes over. I reach for him, gripping his elbow with the same unyielding grip, the action prompted by voices whispering at the back of my mind. He's already made it clear he's not going to believe me, but he deserves a word of caution. Who knows where all of this will take us? How all of this will end? He shouldn't be caught off guard. Believes notwithstanding.
Ash, I know you don't believe in those things she's saying. And you know me. I'm less inclined to believe in those things as you do. But I've seen something.
Something.
There's something strange going on here. You don't have to buy it. If you don't want to listen to me, fine. But please, try to hear her out. It's bad enough that Isabella goes off like this without telling anyone. I'm just worried something might happen to her if she keeps at it. Talk to her, okay?
As if she trusts me enough for that.
Doesn't the fact that she approached you first about this, instead of me, already say a lot?
Yeah, indeed. A different kind of trust. Granted implicitly, and never spoken. Sometimes too big, too fragile to last. He falls silent for a moment as he turns it over in his mind. In the end, all he manages to offer is a small nod before he departs, and a promise to, at least, listen to her, without the teasing or the jibes. A favor for me, and the least he could do for her. This is as much as I can do for him as well, until I've understood what's happening myself. Tonight, hopefully, where this all started will provide the answers I'm looking for. Except the whole thing's off to a bad start, and all of a sudden, whatever Isabella claims is dwelling in this mansion becomes the least of my concerns. Of all the cabbies in Luxbourne, I have to chance upon the superstitious one. Still not as bad as finding out your car starter refuses to crank on when it was still working this morning, yes. But it's equally as frustrating when you're forced to walk the rest of the way, all because the driver got spooked. Isabella and him will get along so well. Hell, maybe it's even the same driver Isabella came here with the first time. I do get his reasons. After all, I've had my fair taste of the bizarre lately, all of which might have been brought upon by that letter Isabella found here. But you'd think he'd at least be charitable enough to take me a little closer to the house itself, not a distance 15 minutes away from it by foot. Damn, if that was an Uber driver, I'd fucking thumbs down the shit out of that. Wait, I've never taken an Uber, so I don't know if you're like thumbs down or give it like 1 star. Whichever one you do, bad rating. Good thing I'm not wearing anything too formal or constricting. Otherwise, that short walk would have likely put me in a bad mood, long before I have to suffer in a room full of strangers tonight. Although, this soon proves to be a problem the second the driveway comes into view and I near the entrance. Severely underdressed is a total understatement to describe how I look. Cars worth more than my own apartment and childhood home combined line the mansion's front yard. Men and women decked out in their best also flock near the entrance. Most are eager for the festivities to start, while some are simply idling about, enjoying the warm afternoon sun before it sets. But once the woman standing at the front porch speaks, their undivided attention immediately shifts to her. Presumably Mrs. Wright, from the confident manner she holds herself among present company. This, despite keeping a far simpler appearance than the rest of her own guests, or not having her husband beside her. A trait worthy of utmost admiration at best. At worst, she's the envy of every woman, the subject of every gossip in Luxembourg.
Welcome everyone!
Oh, Miss Wright. And Mum said we could have been good friends? I can't even picture myself mingling with the kind of guests she has. Though, I admit that she does seem familiar, now that I've seen her this close. Memories of sitting in a vanity, not mine, being dressed in clothes too fancy for my tastes. They flit briefly in my mind, until her cheerful tone rises above the buzz of her enraptured audience again.
Please, make yourselves at home!
I wish I could share her enthusiasm, really, but being surrounded by all this extravagance, for lack of a better term, merely makes me dread how the rest of the night might go. I shouldn't have let Luke's words affect me like that. I should have just gone ahead and asked Ashton like I've planned, so we didn't ask Ashton here. If he were here, then I won't have to—
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
He is here after all. The rest of that thought dies down in my mind at once. Yeah, because in the Hana route, you know, Ashton was still there regardless. So I guess, whether you ask him or not, Ashton already was planning to go here. Now we just came separately instead of together, I guess. A moment of astonishment overcomes me, before confusion sets in seconds later. It takes another for my body to catch up. And once it does, when I finally turn to see it for myself, it's his familiar mop of hair that catches my eyes first. Hey, Ashio! And there he is, almost an arm's reach if it isn't for the guest standing between us. Ashton Frey, standing in Ermengarde Mansion's driveway, with an air too lackadaisical for someone who absolutely abhors party of any form, or has any business here, as far as I know. The picture it forms is too bizarre for me, that my mouth speaks out ahead of any coherent thought.
Ashton?
He swivels on his heel with an equally puzzled face. We probably both didn't expect either one to be here, you know? We're like, huh, Ashton? And he's like, what, Rebecca? What the fuck are you doing here? An odd expression flashes momentarily across it once he sees me, though he blinks it away before I can figure out what it is exactly.
Becca, what are you doing here?
I was invited.
Really? I had no idea you were friends with the host.
Well, it's my parents, actually. But that's beside the point. What are you doing here? You hate parties.
I still do. I'm just here on behalf of a friend.
A friend. That, in itself, is weird coming from him. It doesn't help that he isn't even making an effort to spare a glance my way when he answers. Instead, they're focused at some point in the crowd. It's because he's here on business, woman. His gaze darting between people walking past us, until a small frown forms on his face.
That's rare. Do you have someone with you then?
Huh? Did you bring Isabella, perhaps?
Nope, just me. I won't be staying long.
Thank God.
Oh, well, if that's the case, maybe you and I can...
Yeah, we can just chill, hang out, relax together.
Chief?
Ashton, what's...
Unexpectedly, he places a hand on my shoulder, stopping me mid-sentence. Of course, everything else doesn't matter what it is. It's always an excuse to not spend any time with me. Everything's more important than me. He still has the distracted look on him, except this time, his eyes are sharper, as if he has found what or who he's been searching for among the throng of partygoers earlier.
Sorry, Becca, I need to...
Yeah, sure, go, just fucking go. Leave me like you always do.
There's something I need to check for a bit. I'll talk to you later. Do you have a ride home?
No, I had to take a cab here. My car wouldn't start this afternoon. But what about...
I told you to get that old thing checked before, didn't I? You can head back with me after this.
Wow, thank you.
Anyway, I gotta go. See ya. Be careful, okay?
I meet the smile he hastily throws my way with a frown of my own. What does he mean by that? But before I can ask, already he has turned his back from me and is walking away, without a single explanation whatsoever. In some desperate effort, I try to catch up to him, if only to know what warranted this sudden departure, and his odd warning at the end.
Hey, be careful! About what exact?
Only for my attempts to be interrupted by a muffled ringing from my pocket. Mum's cheerful voice greets me as soon as I answer.
Yes, I'm at the party already, Mom.
Yes, Mum.
Yes,
Mummy.
I'll say hi to her if I can.
I will, Mummy. The conversation itself doesn't last long. Damn, well, that was within 10 seconds. Damn, imagine if every phone call goes like that. Just a simple hello, a reminder to enjoy the party, and to send their regards to their old students. But when the call ends and I get to look up, Ashton's already nowhere in sight. With a sigh, and admittedly a little disappointment, I tuck my mobile back into my pocket and head inside. Even with familiar company, however coincidental this meeting is, this is somehow shaping up to be a terrible evening. This party hits full swing an hour later, with the hostess opening remarks given, still no sign of her husband, the poor woman, and the ghost, or the guest, not the ghost, the guest promptly fed. I mean, maybe the ghost is promptly fed as well, I don't know. But yeah, the guests are promptly fed. The band shifts the melody to a livelier tune. Soon, laughter and the rhythmic tapping of shoes fill the room, all in accordance to the lifting strains of music. This is actually the same night, right? Because the whole thing with where Marianne's ending sort of occurs, with her going down into the basement, destroying the mirror, at least with the choices I made. That all happens on the night of the party. So yeah, that is probably happening sometime right now or later tonight, below us. It seems fun, I admit. Fascinating, and at certain moments, the flurry of dancers make the music their own, almost with no care in the world. If I weren't so indisposed, I'd have joined the crowd for a song or two. There isn't a lack of invitations anyway, plenty of them in fact, with some asking more than once. It's only my stubborn refusal that prevents me from joining them. And I can. A single nod is all it'll take, and the evening would have been far enjoyable for me. But pride in my own silly hopes, the thought of being seen with one of them by him curbs that, as much as I hate to admit it. I mean, isn't this sometimes a move that, you know, people make in order to make the person they like actually become jealous or notice, like, hey, like, sometimes girls do that, or guys in general, right? Ah, shit, maybe he doesn't like me after all. If I go and dance with another guy or girl, he might notice it, and then maybe he starts to become jealous or realize his feelings for me. But she's just not, nope. I am a no target for you guys. I'm only waiting for Ashton. Like, she's just saving herself for him, even though I'm pretty sure he's not interested in her in that way, at least for what it seems like. Because doing so also means outright acknowledging the douche's claims. That he has to be the one to tell me, that still sends my blood boiling. I would have preferred someone more agreeable, less of an arse. It's a hard truth to swallow, especially when the very person at the center of it makes denial difficult. Can't even spare me a minute of his attention, or a single glance at me the whole evening. Hell, Zachary might have spoken more words to me. The big guy is busy, covering the event to boot. But at least he managed to slip in a conversation or two between takes, or a small wave of his hand when he passes by. Wait! This is the 29th, right? When does... Okay, that happens on the 31st. Okay. I was thinking, like, isn't Zach kind of supposed to be dead already? But no, not yet. Okay, thank God. Thank God. What's Ashton's excuse? He's been flitting in and out of sight the whole time. One moment, he's hanging around a small group. In another, he's hovering around the string band. Like, girl, stop paying. That's what it's like. She's so obsessed. She's constantly paying attention to him. Just a second ago, he's wolfing down some deviled eggs by the buffet table, a glass of wine in hand. The next thing I know, he's gone. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he doesn't want to be with any of his friends. Like, come on! Think for a second that he could also be here, you know, for his job, his duty, investigative work. Is it because his boss is here? What's the big deal about that? It has never bothered him before.
I swear, the next person who asks, I'm dancing the night away with. Ashton can go fuck himself.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
So that's what Rebecca was thinking before Hana approaches her? Her voice almost makes me jump. Too focused on the gobshite wandering around the ballroom, and my own annoyance to notice. If she heard any of the profanities I've mumbled, or she's taken notice of my discomfiture, she makes no comment on it, merely greeting me with a smile. When I turn my attention to her, Miss Hannah Wright gives off a whole different air when she's not speaking to an audience. Homely, a bit too friendly for my liking. She's always doing that, like twirling her hair. I can't do that with mine. But I guess that comes with from being raised in such an environment and having to deal with pompous, snooty people. Though, I suppose nothing has really changed from years ago. I remember her carrying herself in the same manner during that one and only visit. Does she remember any of it? I won't be surprised if she doesn't. It has taken me a while myself. She probably met a lot of people like little Becky throughout the years. Might have already forgotten about me or my parents. People like her thrive on connections after all. Nevertheless, I return her smile, awkward and stiff as it may be.
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Like an actual party dress.
Oh, you're fine, dearie. It's only really the parvenu, those who climb, that come to these parties all dolled up. Quite the black-haired beauty, isn't he?
It takes me a while to realize who she's talking about, until Ashton walks by again, in closer proximity than any of the times he has done so far this evening. Still without a look of acknowledgement our way, though. Even if Mrs. Wright speaks loudly enough to catch the attention of anyone within earshot.
Who, Ash?
You know, you really shouldn't have turned down those offers. If I wasn't married, I'd happily go dancing with those young men. But you said a name. Ash. That's the exquisite lad you've been looking at all this time.
Yep.
I don't know him, and I'm the one hosting this party. That must mean you know each other. Is he your boyfriend then? Because that would explain those rejections.
Oh, this image. This isn't the first time someone has made that assumption. Almost every student I've had in the past did. My coworkers, more often than not, assume he is. Few of my neighbors also think we're an item. Not that Ashton has ever reacted to those. He's been quite indifferent about it, in fact. Still, the heat of a blush creeps on my cheeks. A denial already, despite wanting it to happen so badly myself.
What? No, that's ridiculous. He isn't my boyfriend.
Of course not.
Such a violent reaction. A simple no would have sufficed.
Fuck no.
Many here would be happy to hear it.
And I haven't been looking at him.
I do my best to summon a straight face, but before her good cheer, it easily falters.
That's right. You've been staring. Quite heatedly, in fact.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure if you look like you want to kiss him or kill him.
She wants to kill him first, then kiss him. Oh no, I mean the other way around is probably better. No necrophilia, right?
It's more the latter currently.
Just don't go murdering him on my property.
Yeah, because that's happened here enough already, right?
I don't want to walk into a room and suddenly find a body there.
It's infectious in a way. No sooner, I find myself enjoying our chat more than I've imagined myself to. Although her attention briefly wavers at one point, she remains a good companion. So we don't actually see the image where the ghost creeps up behind us because it's from Rebecca's perspective, right? From Rebecca's perspective, it's happening behind her. I feel like little details like that is actually pretty cool. Because, like, you know, we're playing Rebecca's chapter, so Rebecca herself doesn't notice the ghost appearing behind her, but Hana does, and it's mentioned right now that, like, because her attention briefly wavers, that's probably that time when it actually happens when Hana sees the ghost behind Rebecca. Even more, once I've mentioned who my parents are, her face quickly lights up, and fondness graces her face, despite the meeting from several years ago being a short one. But, of course, there are some things we can't really avoid talking about. After all, it's one of the few things I remember her asking me the moment she spotted little Becky in the room. Do you have a boyfriend? in retrospect, it's an odd thing to ask about as children, when there are loads we could have started with.
Yes, oh, I remember you! You were the cutest little thing with glasses!
Yep, that was me.
And when we met, you were having boy troubles with this lad called something with an A.
Yeah, I believe I still have the clothes she gave me, chosen, all so I could impress him. And even back then, Ashton has always been denser than a rock, and that one attempt to get him to notice backfired spectacularly. Sure, he's keen. He's a detective, for heaven's sake, but feelings, more often than not, escapes him. Like, doesn't this thought even come to her mind, right? That just like, if he is that keen and he's supposed to sort of easily pick up on such things, right? Doesn't that mean, like, hasn't she even given it thought that maybe he has picked up on the fact that Rebecca likes him, but, you know, he knows he doesn't feel the same way, so he's not responded to her feelings at all? Like, that's something that at some point would come to my mind, at least. Just think like, maybe he knows, but he just doesn't feel the same? But like, so many years later now, and she's still hoping to, like, please, Ash, please notice!
What was it again? Aaron, Alan, Adele, Albert,
Adele?
Alexander, Andrew?
I mean, Ash is a pretty cool guy, but he cannot set fire to the rain, okay? Which makes this whole talk all the more embarrassing. And the more names she lists off, the more my discomfort grows, until my smile turns into a grimace. What will she think of me? Here she is, married to a man she most probably loves. Probably. I love the probably, you know? It's like, you're not entirely sure. Maybe they're married for monetary gain or whatever, you know? Probably loves. While I'm still stuck in the same place, yearning for the same person.
Ashton! Ash!
Yep.
That man is that boy!
Yep.
Same one.
Yep.
Oh, goodness me, after all these years!
Yep.
I can see why, though. He's quite dashing.
Yep.
You don't really need to announce it to everyone within earshot, you know? Keep it down.
I'm so sorry, but it really is cute.
Sure, being in love with the same guy who still hasn't noticed you for 15 years, if not more. Sure, if you call that cute. She says that, but for a short moment, a hint of pity flickers in her eyes. I take that as a chance to change the subject, before anything more can be said over the matter. I haven't even figured out how I should feel about the things Luke told me. Now I'm getting dragged into a similar discussion.
This is a nice party, Miss Wright.
Cool people and stuff. Though, to be frank, I doubt she'll be so willing to pass this up. The topic has already captured her attention.
Please, Anna's fine.
Oh, no.
We're friends of a sort, aren't we? We must be friends, seeing as I know about your little infatuation, Becky.
It's more of a big obsession than little infatuation.
Don't you worry, dearie. You'll have your happy ending yet.
I'm not too concerned about that, am I? That's not what I'm looking for.
Oh? And what makes you think that? Doesn't everybody want their happy ending?
The idea of happy endings sounds like they're just for fairy tales. And they are, sorta. I don't think you can just sit around, trapped in some tower and hope for the best. If you love them, you have to fight for it, right? You're not just going to sit there and hope that everything will just fix itself on its own. Like everything, you have to work at it.
Hypocrisy, that's what this is. How dare I preach about something when it's exactly what I've been doing, yeah. And then I go and act as if I'm entitled to any of it. That, by virtue of us growing up together, he must return whatever I feel for him. And he's not allowed to look at another, because I'm the one who has stayed by his side the longest. When, in the first place, Ashton has always been his own person. This is something I cannot force on him. I can only hold on to these, take care of it, until the time comes I can confess it to him. The time has already sailed away, woman, holy shit. Great, if he reciprocates. But if he can't? If he won't? Selfish. I've been too selfish. How laughable that Luke's words still strike true up until now.
But what do I know?
Because even though those words came out of Luke's mouth, motherfucking Luke, there is some truth to it.
I'm sure the daughter of the two greatest professors I've ever known is smart enough to know what she's talking about.
At one point, maybe I would have easily agreed to that. However, the past weeks has also seen changes in the way I view things. As nice as these things sound, it turns out whatever I previously know may not even be true for other people, or for myself. It is sobering, and almost funny, how things I might have said with much certainty before, now has doubts muddying each other, or each of them. But there'll be a time to mull about these later, because when a hush suddenly descends in the room, a whole different issue rears. Oh god, Luke, right? Especially when fucking Luke, strides into the now quiet ballroom, fashionably late and oozing with the same pompous mien he always carries around with him.
Good evening, ladies and gents. Enjoying the party? I hope I'm not too late in welcoming you all to the Wright Mansion.
Sure, you're only like 5 hours late. Before long, Hana leaves my side to join him, and it doesn't take a genius to piece it all together.
Welcome one and all to our humble abode.
Yep.
Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are our ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness. So, enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses, as we only allowed the best to be served.
Yep, Rebecca, it's Luke and Hana.
Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone!
His attitude, the manner he carries himself around people, his unfamiliarity with that part of the city. A fucking course! I should have known! Although, I'm partly at fault here. Tabloids and the gossip columns have never really been my thing. I should have also expected that wherever Luke fucking Wright is, some sort of drama will sure follow. He seems the kind of person who revels in it. Figures it'll find him on its own, even when he's not asking for it. It happens amidst a round of applause and hoots. The people lagging behind the crowd they've gathered does not catch on, until the cheers turn into several scandalized gasps. Oh yeah.
I am pregnant with your little bastard. You promised me you'll take responsibility.
Yep, Rochelle's accusing Luke motherfucking Wright of being the father of her baby.
God damn it, Luke. I finally got you to talk to me after months of silence, and you do this to me.
What do you mean you're pregnant with? Luke, is this true?
Lies and slander, woman!
Slander!
Security! Yo, Hans, take her out of here before she makes an even bigger fool of herself!
No, you do not do this to me. I was so ready to leave my stupid oaf of a husband. I told you to leave that damn wife of yours.
She's standing right next to him.
Look at her. Does she look like she wants a baby? Does she look like she could take care of a baby?
The commotion doesn't go further, despite the drunk woman appearing like she has plenty more venom to spill. In a little while, security shows up, escorting her out. Apparently, she's the chief inspector's wife too. Damn, this could be like a fucking soap opera or something, right? As if the whole thing can't get any more fucked up than it already is. What a mess. But the damage has been done, and beyond the repercussions this will bring, I'm worried about Hana. Maybe Luke too, in part. I've seen the man that hides behind his self-importance, and it is someone who cares for the person who stands behind him, or beside him. No matter how questionable that is now. After all, no anger is worse than that of a scorned woman. He's lucky, though, that he is not to be the object of it anytime soon. That his wife loves him enough not to believe any of the woman's drunken prattle.
Take that troll up out of here immediately!
Get that troll out of here.
And see to it that she isn't allowed to hear, or anywhere we hold any authority in Luxbourne.
Hana's outrage is a strange sight to witness. After those smiles and the grace she has carried herself through the entirety of the party. Like this, her eyes burning bright with fury. I don't doubt she can do so much more. Ruin the scandalous woman if need be. Shaming her is already an act of mercy. generous enough coming from her.
Everyone, please go back to enjoying the party.
I love the 180. She goes from like, get her the fuck out of here, to please, everybody, please, enjoy our party. Go back to dancing and all that good stuff, eating our hors d'oeuvres.
Don't let that mess of a woman ruin your night.
You heard her! Strike up the band, maestro, and let us dance like fireflies in the night!
Yet, when she turns to Luke, eyes gleaming with hope, something feels off. Something I can't quite place. Hers is not the face of a person who ardently loves. What is ardently? I've never heard of that word. There's a lack of tenderness in it, an absence of warmth and sincere affection. It's the kind that constricts, suffocates.
Well, that was a mess, wasn't it? And you handled it magnificently.
That's when it changed, right? That's when it all changed for Hana, and she put on the necklace as well, and then she's like, oh, I love you so much, Luke, I'll even kill for you.
It happens. We are very important people, are we not?
No one seems to have noticed it, however, and at their command, music resumes. There's a brief lull, a reluctant pause, before the plays comes to stir again, but shortly the buzz returns to the room. Dancers have once again taken to the floor, and their guests' excited chatter begins anew. Maybe it's just my imagination? No, it's not.
Milady, would you like to dance?
Dance?
With pleasure, my prince.
The unsettling feeling in my stomach, however, remains, even as the strained atmosphere dissolves into merriment. Even as I watch the couple lose themselves in the moment, or the people around them join them in it. It grips me all the more when, once I leave the hall, the last glimpse I catch of Hana is her smile, a thin, unearthly one spreading across her soft features. The porter closes the door behind me with a soft click, but all I hear from it are chilling whispers, those that seem to echo along with another familiar grin in my mind. That one? Oh gosh. Is that when she's taken over or something? The brush of fresh air against my cheeks does little to dampen the nerves edge in my bones. Away from the rush of the party, I just feel bone tired. Even my bones are fucking tired. It's late. I've accomplished nothing of what I've come here for. And Ashton's nowhere to be found. Weren't you going to bring me home? I'm not sure what pisses me off more. That he ignored me the whole evening and might have just left without saying anything. Or knowing he obviously has some other motive for being here. Like he's not allowed to have his own life, you know, outside of being friends with you. Can't he at least trust his own friends for that?
He didn't have to hide it from me.
He's not even answering his phone. That man has always been difficult to contact when he's out. But you'd think he'd at least have the decency and keep the lines open if he's going to wander off on a party. One that he happened to attend with his friends at that. I let the call ring for 9 more times before cutting it off. No use trying to find someone who refuses to be found. I can get home on my own. I don't need him. He can just...
Becca, where'd you go off to?
If you're done here, let's go. I'll get you back to the sea. Wait, that was Ash. That was his name. His voice. My mistake. The second his voice cuts through the crisp night air is that I've allowed my annoyance to get the better of me. Fuming, patience forgotten, I whirl around and march towards him. One accusation after another piles up at the tip of my tongue, ready to be hurled at any moment. Don't do it, Rebecca. Please don't do it. There's no hesitation holding me back when I fling it at him. That straight face he keeps as I do so doesn't help temper my anger either. It only makes me want to slap some more sense into him.
Shouldn't I be the one asking you that?
Oh god, here we go.
Becca, I've been waiting here the whole time since that mess in the hall. I told you I hate parties like...
And before that, where have you been the entire evening?
Like, they didn't come here together. He had no obligation to spend the entire party with you either, Rebecca. The fact that he came here on his own also should imply that he has his own business of being here, right? So, Rebecca's just really, really obsessed about him, honestly. Way too obsessed, on an unhealthy level, okay? Right then and there, I might have forgiven him if he'd shown some ounce of remorse for leaving me like that. Maybe he could have looked away, giving me a sign that my assumptions might be right. He doesn't even need to put them into words. A single gesture of confirmation is all I need. Rather, what I get is the same impassive look. He does that whenever he can't disclose anything. He does that whenever he's lying. In the face of it, amidst the thick tension, a frustrated huff is the only thing I can
Be
summon.
that way. Fine. Suit yourself.
No more words. After everything I've seen and heard tonight, I'm already too exhausted for those. So without speaking any further, I simply walk past him and stomp over to his car. Although, before I can pull open the door, he calls out, one hand outstretched, a gentle weight on my shoulders.
Wait, Becca.
What is it, Ashton? Is this the moment Becca's been waiting for her whole life? He pauses, his brows furrowing, and lips curving into a slight frown. Now, who am I kidding? Of course it's not going to be that. I can almost see the gears turning in his head when he tries to piece together everything he wants to say. Before, perhaps, I might have waited patiently for those. He's not a man fond of using words to express himself. More often than not, any gesture of honesty will only come out blunt and coarse when forced. But today, for one reason or another, I simply can't summon that forbearance.
Ashton, if you're just going to waste my time again...
Becca, listen. I don't know how else.
That much is obvious. Why don't you just take the whole bloody night? Go on. I can wait until next year.
He's trying to tell you something. Just listen, woman.
Better yet, why don't you just keep it all to yourself like you always do? It's not like...
Rebecca, will you hear me out first?
Yeah, goddamn. The silence I can offer him, but where I'll believe what he's about to say is still up for debate. A very long debate.
I honestly don't know how else to put this.
What did you see, Ash?
I'm
What
aware your
happened?
parents have some kind of history with Hannah Wright, and somehow you're friends with her.
Not really friends, though.
But you should stay away from these people for now. Especially the husband.
It's a bit too late for that, Ash. A bit too late for that.
Who? Luke?
His expression deepens into a scowl at my mention of the name. Whatever opinion he has, he doesn't immediately voice. Still, something about it has greatly displeased him, evident in the stiff note his tone assumes.
Yeah, he's bad news.
It's my turn to frown this time. What does he mean by that? What does he have to do with this? Care to explain your reasons? I feel like I'm more curious about why Luke is like bad news in Ash's own words, right? Because Ash has warned multiple of the characters that we've played about staying the hell away from Luke Wright, but we've always just had to take his word for it. He's never explained anything beyond that, probably because he's either not allowed to because it's somehow wrapped in a case that he's involved in, but still, just it's a bit like, yes, he's our lifelong friend, or at least we're good friends with him, right? Every single character is pretty good friends with him, so like, yeah, we do kind of, I understand, and I should take his word for it, but I still would like to know the reasons why.
Care to explain your reasons?
I wanna know. I wanna know, bro. I've not meant for it to sound as harsh as it does, but anger and frustration have never been a good match in me, particularly in nights like this. It's not surprising when Ash jerks back, as if I've struck him. For a fleeting moment, something akin to hurt darts across his features, his eyes narrowing and hands closing in tightly into a fist at his side. He's like, "You're not taking my word? What?" Then, swiftly, he glances away and shifts his focus on the line of trees nearby, like an answer can be gleaned from the dark expanse.
I'm really sorry, Becca.
Yeah, he can't say. What is it for? For the party? The vague answers he continues to give? Does it include all those times before this? The years worth of it? I don't doubt its sincerity. However, at the moment, the forgiveness he's asking isn't something I'm all too willing to hand. Furious as I am, it's frankly a wonder how I can keep myself from raising my voice at him.
We'll talk about this tomorrow. And you better have a proper answer for me by then.
You got the whole night to think of something, buddy. There's a brief hesitation before I step away. A short moment of wanting to say more, of waiting if he has anything to add. He's only silent, eyes still trained at a distance. It is the last glimpse I see of him before I climb inside the car. If the door slams closed with the same force as the anger I'm holding, its sounds merely vanishes into the night, unnoticed. He follows soon after, and shortly we're on our way back to the city. Yet, even with the city's bright lights welcoming us, the dense, somber air from the mansion still lingers. The moon is almost at its highest by the time we reach Salemville. Even after our respective heads have cooled off, the atmosphere within the car remains rife with unspoken tension. This isn't a problem so easily fixed with a few handshakes. No, maybe we gotta hug it out too or something. Quite frankly, I don't know what will. Ashton himself has no idea what to do when he alights and dawdles awkwardly in the middle of the car park. Unsure, it almost seems like he's having an internal debate whether he should say goodbye or mutter another apology. I could have driven him away, purely out of spite, the second I've gotten off. Still, old habits die hard. It's late, and Ashton's flat is on the other side of the city. Irritation might still rear its head every time I look at him right now, but I'm not too cruel to put him up on another long drive. Especially when he still appears as if he hasn't gotten any rest. So, Ash, wanna sleep over?
You can borrow the couch.
I throw the keys to my flat his way before a protest forms on his lips. Although he catches it with ease, he eyes it with a wary expression and shoots a puzzled glance my way.
You haven't been forgiven. We're still going to have that talk, believe me.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a firm, stern talk, buddy.
But I'm not about to send you out on another drive looking like that. It's late. Go get some rest.
We're setting aside a lot of loose ends like this, but he appears to have accepted that reason, at least in the meantime. He does give me another questioning glance when I shove past him, pulling my mobile in the process.
Where are you going? I thought...
You go ahead upstairs. I need to contact Professor Andrew.
Andrew? Why would you...
The professor?
Oh, no. Please.
Huh?
Is this that thing Isabella said this morning? Again? I already gave her my word, Becca. I'll look into this BRC crap. No need to drag the old guy into it.
Of course, he's still skeptical. It makes one wonder if he can even... if he's even seeing things... if he's seen anything at all. Figures this curse will stay away from the scoffer. But this is another loose end tonight that I can't just leave alone, Ashton's beliefs notwithstanding. It just so happens that it's one I can delve into using means other than taking a look at the mansion itself.
Ashton, do you really think I still give a shite after that stunt you pulled tonight?
No, but this is...
I've spent so many years with him to know this is about to turn into another argument. Before I can finish it, I cut him off with a firm raise of my hand.
Look, I don't care. There are weird things happening around here. And yes, it's Isabella's brand of weird. Ghostly voices, strange sounds, and a bloody woman sitting at the back of my car. You don't have to believe me. And I no longer have the patience to convince you, so just leave me be, Ashton.
He doesn't push it, growing quiet instead, although I know he has a whole case of it prepared inside his head. But there's a reluctant shift in his movement when he steps away from our conversation. Short of climbing the stairs, he stops, turns to face me with an expression almost too... conflicted?
Are you really sure?
What?
That there was something? That you've been, seeing things?
Yes, buddy.
Yes, I'm very, very certain. Now go! And you better not break anything in there. The last time I let you stay over, it was that statuette Belle gave me. You haven't even replaced that one.
It was probably jelly, huh? The last of my reprimand goes both unheard and unanswered as he disappears behind the stairs. If things aren't as strained, he might have a quip or two about that, followed by a light banter. Instead, for a long moment, I'm left staring after him. There's something in the way he asked it that nags, coupled with his expression. The whole exchange just feels unsettling. One that doesn't fade even after I gather my thoughts and shift my focus on another. Even as I dial Professor Andrew's number. And that is when it clicks. During the long wait for the professor, one stray thought emerges from the unease. Ashton has not intended for his question to be a jibe. It's concern. For what, though? For my well-being? For the letter's curse? Or maybe he saw something himself when he was in the mansion earlier today, huh? The woman I mentioned? The answers for those will have to wait, however. Finally, the call connects, and Professor Andrew's voice echoes from the receiver.
Professor Andrew?
Hello? Oh,
Rebecca? It's late.
For some reason, like the weird sounds in the beginning just make me think of the ghost immediately, the woman. Cause something's weird about this dude, okay? There was something suspicious at the end of the conversation that Professor had with Zach.
What can I do for you?
I know, I'm sorry, but this is a bit urgent.
After all, this is a more pressing matter. Our lives might be at stake, and we're still in the dark.
Actually, I was wondering if I could ask you to do me a favor.